There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around you, all that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
And you are welcome here. So nice to see you on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Ooh, we're getting fancy over here. I just want to make sure my sound is good. How are we doing, India? My sound is great. I'm going to move forward knowing that my sound is great. And I just want to welcome you. John Stringer welcomed you. And now I've got to do it officially. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you. Okay. Here we go again. Here we go again. All right. Thank you, India. The audio is back. It is back. Yeah, life happens. So what was I saying? I don't know. Yeah, those of you on Instagram heard me because I didn't mute it. But who? Let's see. Jess J. Okay, I remember. I can't remember the name. I think Jesse. I think it is. I'm not sure. But it's JS Self Care on Instagram. And my dear sister, Hallelujah, is on Instagram. Thank you all for being here. Those of you on Facebook, thank you for being here, for making your appearance. The sound is back. Yes. Okay. So my I don't want to say helper. My technical support. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to find another title for India. she said, "No, start over, man." Okay, so anyway, those of you on Facebook who didn't hear it, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I am Ade, your transformational agent, your beingness. See, I got that down, but now I'm messing it up again. Beingness artist. Welcome to the House of Love. Being You, the podcast, the journey back to self. It's a journey of returning to who you really are. It's episode number 2. No, season 2, episode 2. And what was I saying earlier? I'm trying to go back to what I said. Oh, yeah, I said thank you for tuning in. Because when you tune in, you get to listen. When you listen, you are transformed because you're listening to the still small voice, the voice of the divine that is always whispering, always saying, go here, stop, be still, take a breath, rest, keep going, apply yourself. It's okay. Everything is all right. If you listen to that, when you listen to that, you cannot help but be transformed. It's a guarantee. I guarantee you. You know why? You cannot lose with the stuff I use. It's the best of the best. Today, what's today's date? It is Tuesday, May 12th, 2012. So thank you all for being here. And those of you who are listening on the audio, because I know it may take a little while for people to understand, to know, to kind of get it click in the mind. I'm also doing this live on video, so I'm on Facebook and YouTube. Hey, New Jace, nice to see you. And I'm on Instagram today. See, okay, let's start again. The days that I am alone, when I'm flying solo, I'll go to Instagram until I figure out another way to hook it up. Because when I have a guest, if you're on Instagram, you can't hear my guest. But on Facebook and on YouTube, you definitely hear what's happening. So that's what's happening over here. What do we want? Do I have any announcements? I don't have any announcements. But if you listen to the audio on the podcast, this is the podcast. But if you listen to just the audio, know that you can go on YouTube, Live Conversations Media. It's the channel, Live Conversations Media, and you can see me in action. Quali is in the house. Renee is in the house. Thank you all for being here. It's so good to see you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know, right? Grand evening. I like that, Quali. Quali be dropping some hints. So we're just going to jump in and being aware of the time on Instagram. So there's a lot bubbling up for me today as I prepare for today's show. And I've just sort of been in a place where I'm like, okay, all right, Spirit, have your way. The topic is ancestral blueprints. And I feel like, we might end up somewhere else. But what I do know is wherever we end up, it's going to be exactly what we need. Because there is no spot where God is not. And God knows what God is doing. So I just let God be God. And when I let God be God, I can chill. Ancestral blueprints. I feel like there's something else I want to say or need to say, but I don't know. What's today? Today's Tuesday. I said that already, but there's something. I feel like I'm hearing something. Okay, well, let's keep moving. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to start with daily thoughts. But before I do that, ancestral blueprints. What does that mean? Like when you think of when you're building a house, there's a blueprint. There's a blueprint for how many bedrooms you're going to have, where the kitchen's going to be, where the garage is going to be, and on and on and on, right? The same is true for us. There is an ancestral blueprint. We are a combination of ancestral blueprints. So the blueprints from your mother's side, the blueprint from your father's side. So you are a combination of your mother and your father. Whether you know her or not, whether you know him or not, whether he was in jail and never was never in your life, or whatever happens to any of them, they live in you. I can go deep with that. I will go deep with that. Hey, Electra, nice to see you. I'm going to stop there because if I keep going, then I'm going to bypass daily thoughts. Because the daily thoughts as well speaks to what today's conversation is about. Sometimes when you feel the vibe, you just got to breathe the vibe in and out. So today's daily thoughts, for those of you who don't know, maybe you're listening to the show, watching the show for the first time. Daily Thoughts from the Hill is a monthly publication from Hillside International Truth Center. And I am the author. Well, I am the author now. Things are happening, so we'll see what happens. I love writing every month now. I used to write every other month, but now I write every month. And writing the daily thoughts is such a profound experience for me. And sometimes while I'm writing it, let me say it this way, when I'm in the midst of the work and trying to get it done and edit and get into the editors, sometimes I don't catch the fullness of the word glory. Okay, the glory of it, the gratitude of it, the magnitude of it, the power of it, until after it's printed and I'm sharing it, I get to read it all over. It's like, wow. And then to hear people read it in South Africa and saying how much they love it. People in Brazil, people in Ghana, in Nigeria, in prisons, and when I think about that, it touches me because sometimes the process is, I said to a friend of mine who's writing, and I said to her, writing, sometimes it's painful. And she was like, yes. She said, I've always felt like that. But it's so good. It's so good that to hear somebody say it. The process of writing sometimes can be painful. Because for me, I was going to read Daily Thought, but stay with me for a minute. It's all part of it, right? It's hearing something. Those of you who are watching me can see what I'm doing, but if you're on the audio, you don't see. I'm like grabbing the air. It's like you're pulling something out of the ethers that you're hearing with your inner ear. And then you got to translate it into words. And words are limited. I often use the example of when you have a dream. Sometimes you may have a dream and you, actually, no, let me not use dream. You have a thought. Maybe you're sitting down daydreaming, night dreaming, morning dreaming. What happened? I didn't pause, but anyway, Instagram, sort yourself out. Thank you, Electra. I appreciate you. You're in the middle of a thought or just minding your own business, and a thought drops into your awareness. And it may be an answer to something that you've been trying to figure out, trying to work out. And then when you try to explain that to someone, it may take longer than the time it took to have the thought. The thought can be just like that. Like, oh my God. Then when you try and explain it or journal it, it could be 3, 4, 5 pages. So that's what I'm saying about writing daily thoughts. And those of you who are writers, I'm sure you understand. But here's the funny thing about writing. I find it, I don't know if I say I find it easy to write daily thoughts. It's a different things to write about myself. I'm writing a book, I'm writing a memoir actually, which I've sort of kind of took some time away from and I'm back into it again. But that also has its own thing, the process that I go through. It's like, wow, people are going to read this. Oh, I don't know if I want to talk about that. And sometimes it's not even about people reading it. It's just going inside and touching that aspects of my life that I don't always think about. And it all ties into this ancestral blueprint, which I didn't know was going to go there, but I trusted it will. So we'll get to that. Actor, does that say? Actor Eunice? I think I pronounced your name right. If I didn't, my bad. Yes, that's right. Electra said writing is a downloading and birthing process. It is a downloading and birthing process. Sometimes I have so much for a particular. Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you. Yeah, it's okay. I'll come back to the book in a minute. No, let me do it now because I want to go from daily thoughts back into ancestral blueprints. I would say, based on the experience that I'm having, even if you're not planning to publish your book or publish a book, don't see yourself as a writer. The best gift you can give yourself is to write about yourself, because you would find that you have some questions about some things that you knew, but in the process of writing, questions come up. And thankfully, my dad is still here. My mom is not. Yeah, thankfully, my dad is here. What? Thankfully, my mom is not. Well, whatever that means. Well, thankfully, I still have one of my parents here. That's really what I mean, that I can ask. I can still ask them if they weren't in a body, but it's a different experience. So to be able to go back and ask my dad about what it was like, or some things that I did when I was younger, and for him to say, well, I don't know, or he remembers some of it, or it just develops into more conversations. And there's something else. There's one thing that he said to me. I don't know if I'll share that now, but maybe, because I want to get to this daily thought thing. Nah, we'll share that another time, because that could take the show a whole different direction. Daily Thoughts from the Hill, as I said, is a publication, Hillside International Truth Center in Atlanta, Georgia, my spiritual center, publish it. And today's affirmation is, I create ease in my life. Take a deep breath and just feel the affirmation. I create ease in my life. Repeat that for yourself. I create ease in my life. So here we go. Thinking that you should be somewhere that you are not in life is not productive. If you were meant to be there, you would be there. Spiritual principles are orderly. They support you based on where you are emotionally focused. Take a breath and focus on what is good and glorious in your life right now. Think a better feeling thought like, God is guiding my every action. I count my blessings and celebrate the joys in my life. My mind is powerful, and I am committed to using it to create ease in my life. Rather than focus on where I am not, I pay attention to my life. I pay attention to my life. Wow, that's a typo. And I read that many times today. I haven't seen it. I pay attention to my life unfolding gracefully. Yeah, there's a typo there, but that's okay. I pay attention to my life unfolding gracefully. Thank you, power in me, through me, as me, around me, through the Christ within, and so it is. Enlightened Pathway, nice to see you. Neff, with 2 F's, nice to see you. Thank you all for being here. Sister Shoyinka, I just thought of you. Shoyinka, I just thought of you just now. So Enlightened Pathways on Instagram, her picture, I can't see it very well, but it just looks like you. So I thought of you, and there you are on Facebook. Daily thoughts. I create ease in my life. Just think about that. Oh, let me tell you the scripture as well. The scripture is, commit your way to the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Psalms 35:7. I like that. New Jace on YouTube said, I create ease in my life, cruising life's highway. That's right. You just got your hands on the steering wheel, leaning to the side, and just letting the wind blow you. Like, what? COVID-19. I'm creating ease in my life. Commit your ways to the Lord, to the law of life. There are spiritual laws that governs our affairs. So the scripture is saying the Lord, Lord, is the law of life. LAW. Trust in him. The him is the creative power. It's not him, a man. It's not. Y'all ain't ready. Trust in the word. The word is the creative power within you. So when you commit to the law of life, you understand that the words you speak, the thoughts you think, create at some level. Because you are one with the word, you are one with the creative power. And nothing that was ever created was created without the word. For anything to be created, you need the creative power. So yeah, King James was trying to hide some things and make it complicated, but he ain't that deep. He really ain't that deep. So ancestral blueprints, talking about creating ease and being connected to the blueprints on your mother's side, the blueprints on your father's side, and you being Badori, nice to see you, my dear sister. You being a combination of all of that. So not only are you an embodiment of your mother, you're an embodiment of your father. You're an embodiment of your grandmother, grandfather, your mother's side, and on your father's side, and on and on and on and on. Now, whether you want to judge how they lived, whether you judge what they're doing, whether you judge what they did, whether you disagree with them, let's really go there. Whether you discover that your ancestors were they enslaved Africans, maybe you discover that your ancestors were Africans who were enslaved, but you were told they didn't do anything to fight back, which there were more fights going on back then that is not documented because they don't want you to know that. Let me come back over here. You are an embodiment of everyone that came before you. So sometimes, especially on the spiritual path, those of us who are metaphysicians, we may focus on creating the future and almost externalizing spirituality. Haji Basim, nice to see you, my brother. Thank you very much for that affirmation. Almost externalizing spirituality and even it's like we use spirituality to do the bidding for our ego. So the ego wants, and if we can align spiritually, then the ego can help us get what we need. But we are already spiritual. We're it. There is nothing else we need to do. There's nothing, we can't add anything to our spirituality. We can't take away from it. We can distract ourselves from it. And as a spiritual being and a physical body, our responsibility is to create a space. Actually, I don't need this. Why am I using this? It's distracting too. It's to create space from the stories of the past, to be the place where maybe there were dreams unfulfilled in your lineage. You get to be the vessel, the channel for that dream to come alive. Maybe there was some trauma in your family that affects you. The work you do today brings healing in the past. That's how you create ease in your life. It's not even about running from the past. And however your life is showing up is exactly how it needs to be. Because it's a everything about you is a result of everything that came before you. And I'm not just talking about your ancestors. I'm talking about the thoughts you thought when you were younger, when you were a baby. Yeah, they say baby comes with blank what is it, blank slate. No, they don't. They're thinking. And every thought creates at some level. And sometimes, I'll leave it there. Every thought creates at some level. We all have the power to think a new thought. And based on our circumstances, we may find ourselves repeating the same thought because of the experience that we're in currently, where we are experiencing coronavirus, COVID-19, and everything else that's happening. We can get so focused on what we're being told. We can get so focused on what we're afraid of. We can get focused on the amount of people that are dying, even though people are dying every day. And some of those people that died, they're not dying because of COVID-19. It's BS. I digress. And even if it is, the question is, then what for us? Those of us that align and subscribe to the idea of our power to create and recreate our reality, those of us that subscribe to a God, a divine, a presence, a power that loves us unconditionally, it is our responsibility to bring about the light. We can complain about some of the things that are happening, but we don't need to put a lot of energy into some of the things that have been done. There are a lot of things that's happening right now beyond coronavirus that we see, and some things we don't even know. I said that to a friend of mine one time, and she laughed, and I thought, what's so funny? I said, there's so much going on right now that we're not even aware of. And she laughed as if I said something crazy. I said, it's true. I mean, speaking of coronavirus, there are many things that I've seen about Obama, Dr. Fauci, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, talking about there could be a pandemic. It ain't new. What we think about will bring about. So I'm not just saying that, okay, this pandemic will bring it about. And I'm also saying what we think about will bring about. And we are connected. So we may have brought it about because ultimately there are only two emotions, love or fear, right? So out of fear, out of judgment, out of maybe fear, feeling like we're not enough, feeling like someone's going to take from us, the fear of, that there won't be enough. We can just stop there. Maybe the fear of worrying that if we don't get our shift together, we're going to self-destruct. In the mind of God, there's nothing good or bad about this current situation, this COVID-19. There's nothing. It's just what it is. And there is a power and presence within us, moving through us, thinking through us, inspiring us to create anew. When we align with the spiritual laws, the spiritual principles, we can make peace and space for the past. I'm using this because that's present to me, but what I'm about to say, it's not just about the show. So I watched this program on OWN called Love Goals, and it's celebrities, husband and wife, or partners, couples. Yeah. And you find that maybe about 3 of them has been sexually abused. And one of the couples got to a point where she can voice that. She was able to verbalize it. And in verbalizing what happened to her, even though she's been judging herself before, she's been blaming herself, in being able to verbalize it in a safe space, she has a new way of seeing herself. So as we get to that place and that space to verbalize things that happened to us in the past, that was traumatizing, that was painful, that was difficult, that was hard, when we're able to verbalize it, first of all, we reclaim our power. Now, actually, no, let me rephrase that. First of all, you may come in contact with a vulnerability that you've never felt before. To speak your truth as you see it, sometimes it's the most scariest thing you could ever do. But with support and a deeper intent, a deeper desire to be more, and you're able to speak your truth, you heal the past and the present. And when you do that, it's like, you become more of who you are. You develop this sort of strength. I had a similar experience a few days ago. Well, actually, no, about a week ago. So I guess I'm going to talk about the thing about the book. So writing my book and writing about my story is very vulnerable. And I think that's also part of the reason why I don't always get back to it on a daily basis. And I'm also part of an online retreat for writers. So last week, we were supposed to share something that we wrote on the online retreat. And I tell you, I was so nervous. I did not want to share it. And I said to my writing coach, I said, well, thank you for allowing me to step out of the writer's closet. And I remember, so part of the thing we did last Friday was everybody was going to read their writing. And before it was my turn, I was nervous. I'm like, I can't even believe I'm this nervous. And it wasn't, it was a nervousness where if I yielded to it, I would say, no, I don't want to do it. So it was interesting to watch myself want to step away from voicing something that I wrote. Now, the thing that I wrote came about in the retreat. I don't know if it happened, but those of you that journal, sometimes you're writing and then an idea, an inspiration just pops up. So when I was writing, what I wrote was about being the home of my nanny. And she's a white woman. My biological mother, of course, is brown. And I say brown, not black. I'm starting a movement, but I don't need anybody to join me because it's time to start re-languaging. I'm brown, not black. I may be brown because I'm wearing black t-shirt. I don't look nothing like this. Now, some of you might say, oh, hell yeah, you do. No, I don't. So anyway, as in the writing, I said, my Hastings mother, which is the white nanny mother, air quotes, and then my brown mother, who I called London mother. So I called the white one Hastings mother and my biological mother London mother, because my biological mother lived in London back then when I was with my nanny for the first 4 years of my life. And as I reflect back and over the years anyway, even before I started writing, it's like, wow, that must have been something. And I recognize that there's a part of me, this whole thing about belonging, let me put it that way, belonging. And we all have our things that we go through and grow through about belonging. And personally, I feel like all we're ever dealing with is the issue of belonging. We're trying to figure out where we belong. We're trying to figure out who sees life the way we do. We're trying to find people who think the way we do, people who like what we like. And when we do, we say, I found my tribe, I found my community. And that's all about acceptance. And it is part of the process of accepting ourselves. But eventually, we must come to a point where whether other people see things the way we see it, whether they're in the same community in our tribe or not, we can accept that we belong. We are part of it all. So that issue of belonging has been it's been it was lifelong journey. So anyway, as I was writing, I'm gonna get this story out. One of the things that came up for me was I started to write being in my cot. Can't remember what they call it now, but back then it was called a cot. COT. And what was coming through was my Hastings mother, the white mother, was looking at me. And I was writing from the perspective as if I'm observing myself as a child, and how me as a child had questions about how is it that I'm brown and she's white and she's my mother, and then I have another mother, and there were questions. And we had different prompts in the retreat that caused us to kind of write the story, to just follow the story in different directions. And one of the prompts was something about a breeze. And I remember writing that as a child, the breeze came through, and me as a child was looking at my Hastings mother, and with the confusion of trying to see where I belong, the breeze felt like it was communicating with me. And that communication sort of brought not clarity, but just in that space, there was no confusion about where I belonged. There were no doubts. There were no color. There was no two mothers. I was just in this space. And so I had to read that. First, I was nervous because I don't know if it happened, but it did come up. But the thing is, I'm telling my story. But what I remember, the main reason I'm sharing this story is after I read it, before we finished, there was something in me that just felt that I released something. What it is, I don't know. It may be that whole thing that happens when you're vulnerable. And if you stick to it and keep walking, when you get to the other side, you just start to see yourself differently. You might even call it confidence. Like, okay, I can read more of my story. I can read a little bit more. I can read my story. I can tell my story. But after reading it, it wasn't as scary. And I'm thinking, what was that about? Sometimes we don't know. It is what it is. If you're a musician, there are times you may be on stage and you find yourself doing something that you didn't plan to do. Haji is in here, he's a musician. I'm sure he could testify to this. If you're working with young people, Jeannie, I know you know, anything that we do and it's not structured or rigid, and you open yourself up to be a vessel, sometimes an idea, an inspiration comes and you don't even know if you can move forward with it. But depending on your spiritual practice, your trust of your own self, you might just let it in. I remember working at a Boys and Girls Club many, many years ago. Hey, Deborah and Judy, many, many years ago. And there were times where young people will come to me and ask me a question. And while they're asking me, I have no idea what the answer is. I don't even know how to help them. Sometimes it's not anything deep, but they're just asking about life. Sometimes there's something they're dealing with. It's a school. And as I'm listening to them, I don't know the answer. What I would do is take a deep breath and say, Spirit, speak to me, speak through me. And the minute I open my mouth, I'm amazed to hear the things that I'm saying. We are part of something greater. The wisdom of ages lives in us. The wisdom of our ancestors live in us. Maybe you have ancestors who wanted to write that couldn't write. Maybe I did. Maybe because it was I came from an oral tradition and they had a thought to write things down, or maybe they did and it got misplaced. So when I tap into that place to write, maybe I'm summoning energy from way back. And sometimes there's no way to describe it. You just feel like, ooh, I feel all this energy moving through me. We create ease by accepting where we are right now. We create ease by remembering that in this moment, we can create and recreate. There is nothing out there in the world that's stronger than us. And the more confident we feel about ourselves, the stronger we are. And the confidence often comes after you've been through some vulnerable experience, some painful experiences. some trauma. Trauma, struggle and pain and betrayal, the things that we judge, the things that we run from, the things that we'd rather not deal with. If we can be with them without trying to change it, it opens up something in you, in your heart, in your mind, that you have a deep appreciation for life. Of course, those of us in the Western world, we have a lot of insurance. We're insuring everything. You can't buy anything on Amazon without them trying to tell you. You can buy a headphone that costs $5 and they want to sell you insurance. We want to insure it to protect it. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. What I'm saying is it's having a deeper awareness of what is happening, that there is an insurance. Ooh, insurance. There's a self-assuredness inside of you that is guiding you. And when you are willing to just be with what you're feeling without denying it, without trying to explain it away, trust me, I understand sometimes it's not easy. And I'm not even suggesting that you go deep into the pain that you're feeling. Just recognize you're in pain. Right now, I am in pain. The words we speak are powerful. But even more powerful is the energy behind the words, the vibration of the words you're speaking. So as part of this journey of transformation, of creating ease, sometimes you must speak the pain out loud without anybody having to tell you, don't say that. Law of attraction is going to create more of that. Yes, it's true that every thought we think, every word we speak is created at some level. Yet, if you speak something that is inside of you that you've been hiding, holding in, and you find the courage to speak it out, that's part of the healing. It's part of the healing. So when you find yourself in a place of being vulnerable and you want to speak it out, it's a good place to be. Being vulnerable is a good place to be. Now, you could choose to resist it. That's right. Because I was thinking go backwards, because we never go backwards. Once you step into a place where you're vulnerable, you become somebody else. You can't go backwards. Now, you can resist what is happening and not speak up and deny it or blame somebody else. Or you can just stay with it. And you can't find the words. But the way it comes out is through tears. Spiritual growth and transformation is about letting go. And to let go, you must have an open heart. So opening your heart to your own process, to humanity, is part of the healing. If you're about healing and you can't open heart and mind, or you're not trying to open your heart and mind and you're rigid about it, I question the work you're doing. I'm not talking to anybody here. I'm talking to those who needs to hear what I just said. Let me look at the chat room. Deborah, I like what you said. Well, you said that's your smile. What do you? I don't remember what I said. What were you referring to? Yes, insurance. You're self-insured. Think of when they tell you something's an incurable disease. Incurable. The cure is inside. Insight. You got to see from the inside out. Healing is an inside out process. In order to change anything in the world, whatever it is, be it finances, relationship, a pattern that you can't break out of. You have to tune in. You have to tune in order to tune out the negativity. You have to go within, and it's spiritual growth. Sometimes it's scary. It's scary. It's challenging. There are many ways that we use to describe our process, and sometimes we're so good at using words to hide what we're doing. I know I do. That's why I can talk about it. I can answer your question about how are you doing, and I can answer your question, and you won't even know that I didn't answer it. Because one, I may not be feeling comfortable to share it with you. I may not feel strong enough to reveal that part of me. I may feel like you can't handle that story. Not as a judgment of you, but more of a, if I tell you that story, your reaction ain't gonna help me because I'm trying to find my ground. I'm trying to stand out. I'm shaky about what I feel. I don't need you saying, "Oh my God, really? So what are we gonna do?" No. So I may not tell you the fullness of what is happening. I may just tell you life is in session, and it is. And it's something that we can all. Everybody ain't qualified to hear your story. It's not a judgment. It's all about, it's about consciousness. It's about where people are. Some people are invested in fear, doubt, and worry, and the world is coming to an end. And if you tell them there's something's going on with you or something you're working through, sometimes they can't even hold it. They just say, "Ooh, that must be hard. Ooh, I'm glad it's not me." You're like, wait a minute. I just shared something vulnerable. Can you be with me? Can you hold space? And the thing is, it's really not their responsibility to hold space anyway. So when we find ourselves being judgmental, when we find ourselves wanting to blame them, we can check ourselves. Yeah, it would be nice for somebody to hold space for me in my process. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Or let me rephrase that, because everything is all about me. Everything's all about you. Everything you see out there is a reflection of your consciousness. How you experience the world is about you. I may have an experience with someone and feel like they didn't support me. And maybe they did. But maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't. But the most important thing is, what am I going to do with that? Am I going to be mad that I opened my mouth and shared my story with them, and now I feel stupid and guilty and ashamed because they're not helping me the way I wanted them to? And I can feel that, but with spiritual practice, I can bring myself back. I can invite myself back home. I can call myself back home to my heart. And I had a recent experience like that. I shared something with a friend. I didn't hear back. And oh my goodness. I just thought, why did I ever share that story? But you know, the beauty of it is because, no, let me not skip that. So I shared the story with a friend because I felt like they had an insight that could really help me, because I was trying to see what it is. I've been dealing with that stuff for a while, and I knew this person could help me. So I didn't hear back from them for a while. Then I went into, I should have shared my story with them. Oh my God, I feel so stupid, whatever. And then, I don't know, 2 weeks later or so, I spoke to another friend, and we had this great conversation about, we have a responsibility to ourselves. It is our job to be responsible for what we feel. Whether I feel bad, whether I feel good, it's my responsibility. If someone makes me feel bad, they didn't make me feel bad. They triggered something that caused me to feel bad, but it's my responsibility. I can blame them. That's an option. But I can choose a different path to ask myself, what is it about that conversation, that person, that made me feel like, that made me feel bad? What when has that ever happened? When was the first time that happened? Has that happened before? So another friend of mine was having this conversation, and we were really, and I was like, yes, I said, we don't live in a society where we're taught to be responsible for what we feel, for what we say, what we think is always somebody else's fault. We're always looking for somebody to blame. If they didn't do this, this wouldn't have happened. We blame parents, we blame the economy, we blame the politicians, we blame, and we wonder why there is no change. Because the real thing we need to be asking ourselves is, what is mine to do? What is mine to do? So I had this experience with another friend where I really opened up and shared something with them that really I've been struggling with. Weeks later, I was having a conversation with another friend, and we were talking about taking responsibility, because this other friend was telling me that lately people are just blaming me for what they feel. And I said, I understand it, but everybody needs to be responsible for what they feel. The one thing about spiritual truth, or anything that you speak, is always a double-edged sword. So if you're calling somebody out, you're calling yourself out. If you're speaking truth about what needs to happen or how it is, that truth would turn right back and face you and like, now what you gonna do? So after that conversation with the second friend, my story about, maybe I shouldn't have shared my story with the first friend, if you can follow. I'm intentionally being discreet. And I brought myself to a place where I'm saying, okay, so what is it about that's causing me pain? Why do I feel ashamed? And it was more about feeling vulnerable, feeling like she was going to judge me, and because she didn't respond back, and I just like picked myself up. And then I went through the process like I didn't know she wasn't going to respond, because certainly if I knew she wasn't going to respond, I wouldn't have had the conversation with her. So think about that. There are things that we do, and then when it happens, we say, I wish I should have done that. I wish I didn't do that. I'm so stupid for doing that. But if you knew what you're going through was going to happen, you wouldn't have done that. And because it's happening, it's an opportunity to grow. Fast forward back to me. I had to stand by my understanding of being responsible for my own feelings and emotions. And then I wrote, I sent this friend who I shared my heart with, yeah, that's how I'm going to put it, and told them about how I felt them not responding. And when I did, they responded back, not, and I'm not surprised. They responded back almost immediately, apologetic. The gift for me there was, first I shared a story. I felt vulnerable. And then I was beating myself up. And I was stuck there for a while. But somehow I was able to find the courage to have the conversation one more time, even while my ego was like, whoo, if she doesn't respond right now, you're going to be in deeper doo-doo. But I knew that I needed to save myself. I needed to heal myself, to say, listen, I'm not judging you. I'm not blaming you. But this is what I would say. This is what I'm feeling based on our interaction. You not responded. And after that, we had such a great conversation, a healing conversation. And as we were having the conversation, I was getting healed about things that I didn't even share with her. We create ease, not just by our thoughts, but the actions we take or actions we don't take. Sometimes it may be just to stop, don't do anything. Don't mess with that. Don't get involved in that conversation. There is injustice going on in the world. But how do I deal with it? Deal with the pain. Deal with everything that comes up. Honor it. Acknowledge it. And then ask, what is mine to do? What is mine to do? When you ask what is mine to do, you will know what to do. And when you ask that question, you're communicating with your soul. You're communicating with your guides. You're communicating with God. You're communicating with your ancestors. They have lived this planet. Now, there are people who have different ideas about ancestors. Some people will tell you, well, not all ancestors is worth of your time, worthy of your time. Not all of them are wise. Okay. They've lived here. What I know for sure is when we're out of this body, something happens where we tap into deeper wisdom. How do I know that? Many experiences, but I'll share one that's common. When you go to sleep, when you meditate, don't you notice that sometimes you catch a broader awareness about something you're dealing with? You get clarity in something you've been struggling with. Because when you meditate, you're taking your attention away from your body, from the things that's happening in your world. You're removing your attention from the external world and you're tuning in. You're going beyond your conscious mind. You tap into the aspect of you that is a nobody. You are nobody. You are nobody. We try and be somebody on earth, try and belong, but the truth of who we are is nobody. You're formless. You don't have a body. Let me read what's in the chat room here. Okay, let's see. Oh, Deborah said, working your... Oh, wait, I don't know if you did this in India, but if you did this, I'm going to do it again. Working your purpose gift is what we were born to do. Indeed, smile, support, motivate, invest, love, educate. I love that. What is GH? You put these things that make me want to ask questions. Because when you came into the chat room, Deborah, you put GH. I can't figure it out. I'm usually good at figuring stuff like that out. Oh, no. Oh, okay, I see. It's a flag. On this chat, it's showing up as GH, but when I look on YouTube, that looks like an Ethiopian flag, I think. Okay, got it now. All right. Spirit said, look over there, fool. Spirit never calls me fool. That's just me making shit up, literally. And Deborah said, let me put that on this so I can read it. We were all born to leave this place better with our gifts. The choice is ours. The choice is ours. The choice is ours, even when it's challenging, even when it's painful, and especially when it's painful, especially when it's challenging. Oh, that's a Ghanaian flag? Oh, my bad. It looks like an Ethiopian flag. I was close. I was in the right continent. Thank you, Jeannie. Oh, you were in Ghana. I did not know that. Oh, what is it like over there in Ghana? What are you doing in Ghana? How are you showing up? How are you expressing your gift? You are the voice of your ancestors. Speak up, show up, continue the journey. And the thing is, they say that in God, there is no beginning, there is no end. And if we are one with God, and God is experience itself through and as us, and we are God embodied, so there is no beginning, there's no end. So there's this continuum of life that is happening through us. So we're part of a chain. We're part of a chain reaction or passing life on. Whether you pass it on through a physical being, or you pass it on through your creation, you pass it on through your writing, your art, your expression, your work. We are part of a chain, passing on life. And when you really stand in that place, when you really honor yourself and recognize that you're part of a life experience that is never ending. It is a never ending story. And the story is just a story. You get to call it what you will. And part of the story also helps us to choose differently. To say, okay, that's not the best thing we could have done then. And then we can also see, because when you're looking at life from a spiritual perspective, really, you're going to end up in a place of neutrality. Spirit is neutral. So you can look at stories that happened in the past or that's happening right now. And from a spiritual perspective, you can be neutral about it. Doesn't mean you don't care. Doesn't mean you are ignoring what's happening. In your neutrality, you get to see a bigger picture. You get to see if someone was doing what they're doing because they were taught to do that. I've worked with young people. One particular young person who was, what's the word they use when they have a gang of pedophiles? Breed. No, not breed. There's another word. There's a word, but I'll go with breed. But this young man that I was working with, he was basically breed to do the same thing. And he was about 15, was working with an organization in London, in Brixton, called Youth Offenders Advocate. And when we go on the bus, my man is like, because I had to really keep an eye on him. I know what he was up to, what he's done. So he was always on probation. And sometimes when a little child comes in, he was 15 and he's kind of small. He would just do this. I mean, he's hypnotized. And I'm like, okay, I see what's happening here. So I try and distract him and try and get his attention. And that was eye-opening. I don't know how I got in that conversation. What was I thinking about? About healing something in the past? I don't know. But anyway, Deborah said, ancestors led me here. I know that's right. She said, I am an African, 80% born in America. I am now home retiring, Volta region, giving back, working with youth and elders. We all have a gift. And I'm going to say something profound. And I mean it. If you're not at peace with your life, it's up to you. I know it's not so profound, is it? It's up to you. Actually, I think what I was going to say start with the letter F, but I don't want to go down that because it's not about that. It's up to you. If you're not happy with your life, if you're not happy where you are, if you're not happy with the way life is, it's up to you. Some is ended already on Instagram. I looked over there. Okay, well, anyway, let's see. Do that, do this. That's a good place to end it on Instagram. That's a cliffhanger. They're like, oh my God, I want to find out what he's talking about. It is never too late. That's right. It is never too late. We see the virtual community that we're creating right now so much. There's a lot of events and workshops and people coming out with creative ideas to support one another through these challenging times. It is challenging and is a great time to be alive. It's challenging. It's a great time to create. It's a great time to write a new story. It's a great time to create ease. And whatever it is you're dealing with, the answer is present right where you are. You just got to be willing to be open and be vulnerable. Deborah said, if you are not working your purpose, what is your purpose? Exactly. And that's another thing. Sometimes we hide behind that. I'm almost getting ready to release this. We hide behind, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know. Well, first of all, it is the law. The more you keep saying, I don't know what it is, 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 guess what? You're going to keep experiencing not knowing what it is, not knowing what it is. You can change. I don't know what my purpose is. I'm willing to see. I'm willing to know why I'm here. Or it could be just as simple as use me. Use me. Our purpose is not so much about the things that we do. It's really about how you're expressing love. How are you loving today? Are you loving yourself? Are you loving your children? Are you loving your nieces and nephews? Are you loving the person at the grocery store? Are you kind? Are you compassionate? Are you understanding? Are you quick to judge without trying to understand why people do what they do? Sometimes you're not going to understand it. Sometimes it's not even yours to understand. But how are you living your life? Are you adding more love into the world? Whether it's through your thoughts or your actions, whether you believe you're on purpose or not, it really doesn't matter. You are one with divine mind. You are one with divine mind. And any and every time you are giving of yourself, not as a sacrifice, not because you're expecting anything, you're doing it because it just makes sense. You're willing to step outside of yourself. You're willing to be vulnerable. You're willing to break open. You're willing to be uncomfortable. If you want to know God, if you want to know the divine, if you want to know what you're made of, be willing to be uncomfortable. When you do, you might just discover something about yourself. And in your uncomfortability, you might hear the voice of spirit so clear, unlike never before. And you will know exactly what to do. Sometimes trying to be in our comfort zone and be safe blocks the thing that we're praying for. Because we're like, well, I'm going to put this wall up here because it makes me safe. And I'm going to wear this mask so it makes me safe. And I'm going to make sure that, I just create my little heaven over here. Well, that's fine. Create your little heaven. But if your heaven is not expanding and you find yourself in stagnation, you might need to break down some walls of self-judgment. You might need to take off the mask of, I'm all right. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Deborah said, ask yourself these questions. What is it you love doing? You would do it even if you do not get paid. Start there. Yes, I know that to be true. I love doing so many things. I have to work on saying, okay, which one is the highest and best to do right now? Quali said, no, where it is? Right here. Use me for your best and highest good, Mother, Father, Creator. That's it. Sometimes it's best not to know what your purpose is. Because if you mess it up, if you know it, you might mess it up. You're saying, oh, it's supposed to look like this, supposed to look like that, because God told me it's my purpose. No, sometimes it's just use me for your best and highest. Mother, Father, God, Creator, Most High Spirit. Use me. You pray that prayer every day. Oh yeah, you will see differently. It's time to release this conversation. Thank you all for joining me. Yeah, Deborah said you can have several purposes. It's true because it's about what brings you so much joy. So I guess I do. I'm talking about being you, so I use myself as an example. And the reason I talk about myself, as far as I know, truth be told, is because I'm using myself as an example so that maybe somebody will relate to it. I was indecisive if I wanted to do the show today. I won't go into all the long story why, but I had to take a moment to meditate for like 30 minutes. And I heard what I needed to hear. And I was in a better place. But even as it was 30 minutes or so to the show, I was like, I don't know. But since doing the show, I'm like, why didn't I want to do the show again? When you do the thing you love, when you surrender to the voice, when you surrender to the guidance, you discover another part of yourself that nobody can take away from you. And that way, you create ease and you your actions, your thoughts brings the ancestral blueprints of your life into visibility. You get to, in a way, make your ancestors proud because you're proud, because you are your ancestors. They're not stuck somewhere looking down at you. Everything is connected. Everything is one. So your ancestors live in you. So yes, earlier what I said, what you're doing, you're bringing the dreams of your ancestors alive. They're in you. So the dream never dies. The vision never dies. And you get to pass that on. Thank you very much. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, India. Thank you, Kwali. Kwali said thank you, Ade in India. But I was going to thank India as well. India, what you doing over there? Do you want to say something? Did you shake your head or you nod your head? Which one is it? I don't know. Oh, you're hiding. Okay, I guess that's a no. Because I can only see the top of your head. You want to say anything? Thumbs up, yes. Thumbs down, no. I can't see you, little woman. You're hiding. Yeah, that's a no. Oh, thumbs up. You want to say something? Oh, okay. All right. Let me bring India on. All right, let me get my earpiece. India's about to make her. Oh, did she run away? No, she didn't. I didn't click it. Hold on 1 second. Let's wrap it up. And India wants to say something. She's feeling it. Hello. Okay, hold on. Let me switch my thing because sometimes
I had to unmute my mic.
Oh, that's what it was?
Yeah, It was me. Hi, everyone. I am behind the scenes most of the time, but yes, I enjoyed the message. I am here with my great aunt, 92. So this was a message for me that our ancestors do live within us, and that is our blueprint. And it's just so great. I get to take in the moment of her being 92 years old and just the wisdom she holds, and she's teaching me, and just her moving slow right now. And it just, we're in this slow time, and I'm like, why am I rushing here? Why am I trying to rush there? What am I trying to accomplish? I'm going around in circles. And she, one quote that I will always remember, that she always reminds me of, she says, I may not move fast, but I will still get there.
Oh.
And it just permeates my soul.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm going to still get there. I am going to still get there. So this was definitely a message for me. And sometimes I get distracted with it because I'm like, you're one of my mentors as well too. So I get, I'm engulfed in what you're saying. Yeah, this was definitely a message for me. And I get to sit and revel in this energy and this wisdom that she gets to bring as well too.
Yeah, that you just delivered. See, you became an example of us being a voice for the ancestors. She's still here. But what you said, I may not move fast, but I'll get there. And we all can use that. We may not move fast, but we'll get there. Sometimes moving fast is going to get you off track.
Off course.
Yep. Thank you, India.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Ernestine. Thank you. Oh, I love this thing called God. It is constantly inspiring and nudging and guiding. Sometimes you don't even know why you do what you do. It's just like, ask if she wants to come on. I'm not done yet. I got something else that I want to say that needs to be said through India. I may not move fast, but I'll get there. And I needed to hear that because I got stacks and stacks of things to do that I haven't done. This is the first thing really when it comes to do that I'm doing. I couldn't. Today was just a very hard day, but it's just before the show. I was feeling all loosened up. Thank you very much, Kwali. I appreciate you. Thank you, Deborah. Deborah said, Glad you followed the lead during the show. A blessing, amen. Still get there. That's right. Thank you. Beautiful people, I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. Whatever you do it for the love of it. If you're taking care of yourself, do it for the love of it. If you're doing it for somebody else, do it for the love of it. Don't do it for what you can get. Sometimes there's some things we do because of what we can get from it. What's in it for me? Well, in fact, really, whatever you do, there's always a what's in it for me. So even if you're giving of your time, you're doing it for what's in it for you. Because selfish, no, not selfish. Service is a selfish act. Chew on that. When you give of yourself, who reaps the benefit first? You. Whatever you give unto yourself. I love you once again. Thank you very much. Peace and blessings. I'll be back next week. And be well.
There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace.